2016 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you very much. A couple of announcements tonight. Quite proud of our engineering department and our floodplain administrator. We've been working to lower our flood rating, our community rating system for flooding, which hopefully any of us like myself who pay for flood insurance, hopefully we'll see a break in our flood rates. We got this response from FEMA. Town of East Fishkill has been selected as one of the awardees in the Floodplain and Stormwater Management Association Conference. FEMA Region 2 would like to present this award of acknowledgement in recognizing the efforts of the Town of East Fishkill and their participation in the community rating system, obtaining a Class 8 rating, and in doing so, the Town of East Fishkill administering various activities to protect the citizens from future flood losses. Then they want somebody to go up there. The awards are going to be up in Saratoga or someplace, so nobody's going up there. But it's really a nice thing. We've been working on this for a couple years now, since we had a meeting with FEMA and DEC about lowering our flood rating. And our floodplain administrator, Rick Witt, has been very active with that, as had our first responders and also our engineering and building department. So I'd just like to announce that. Second announcement is that we have received our contract back from DEC for the Hillside Lake project. They've signed it. We've signed the contract, so we actually have a contract for the grant for, I believe, was $647,000 for the Hillside Lake filtration system, the artificial wetland system. We've been doing a lot of work on that. I believe the surveyors have been out. We're going to lay everything out on the beach, understanding, the residents' concerns about where it should be on the beach, try to maintain enough area for the residents also. And we will be having a public presentation by Renewage on June 16th at the community center. Will be held from 6:30 to 8:30. So again, we've done this a few times in the past, and we'd urge the residents of Hillside Lake to come and hear the presentation. I would ask the Hillside Lake Board, Councilor Marinero, if they could place it on their board outside of the Hillside Lake there. We'll put it on our sign, and we'll put it on Channel 22. So we'd like to see some participation, and we usually get about 50 or 60 people to these, so we'd like to see that type of interest. And that's about it for announcements for tonight. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Present.
Councilperson Franco.
Present.
Councilperson Marinero.
Present.
Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The board has been provided the minutes of the April 28th, 2016 Town Board meeting. Madam Clerk, have there been any changes, additions, or corrections?
No, there has not.
That being said, do I have a motion from the board to approve the minutes of April 28th, 2016?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Nothing this evening under receipt and file. Public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on agenda items only? Please step forward.
Good evening. You mentioned about the public meeting, which I'm glad to hear. We're going to have a meeting showing the new design for the Hillside Lake project. You noted it's from 6:30 to 8:30. How long is the actual presentation going to be? Because I would assume that portion of that would be questions and answers.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that probably the presentation would be around 45 minutes by Mr. Gruber at his engineering firm.
Okay. If the questions are not all answered by 8:30, is there an allotment left to have the meeting go beyond that time?
Oh, I'm sure we can do something with that. I'm sure we can accommodate any extra
Okay,
overage.
So would it be true to say that you're agreeing to not cut the meeting off at 8:30 if all questions have not been able to be presented at that time?
We will do our
People
best
still
to
have
answer all questions at that meeting, absolutely.
That wasn't the question.
I know that wasn't the question, but we will do our best, and I believe we have the community center till 9 o'clock, because we have to give ourselves a little time to clean up, so we will try to do our best to answer all the questions in that time.
Okay.
Anybody else in the audience would like to speak on agenda items only? And actually, that wasn't an agenda item, but that was an announcement, so that qualifies. All right, there being none, moving forward, we have 2 public hearings for this evening. These are to authorize the 209Q water and sewer funding bond resolutions. We've had several discussions on these. We have the map plan and reports for the establishment of the John J. Sewer Improvement Area and for the townwide water improvements in the town of East Fishkill, which affects several different water districts and connections thereof. I'd like to open up the public hearing. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The public hearing is now open. I just speak to the board for a quick minute. We discussed this at several board meetings in the past. And just want to know if anybody has any questions on the use of the funds. Obviously, we have a lot of projects going on. We see the dome is being built down on Route 52. Also, with Global Foundries coming in for an 8-lot subdivision, you know, there's a very big impact upon, or a very big need, I would say, for sewer infrastructure down that area. So I think we've discussed it, everybody's seen the plan. The bonds will be paid only by those in the district, and this will actually help facilitate the industrial redevelopment which we've been working to achieve, and some very exciting things are happening. So that's on the sewer. Also, there's again, too, with the water.
Right.
Basically across the street, providing water for the EPA site, for other water districts in the town that need water, and also for the connection down on 52 to enable more development for the water infrastructure down on the Route 52 corridor. So with that being said, anybody have any questions for the engineer? I think everybody's pretty familiar with the proposals and with the need. We would be borrowing up to $3.8 million, or up to $3.9 million. Again, this would be paid only by those in the district, and I think that water and sewer infrastructure is a very good investment for the town of East Fishkill. That being said, is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak for or against the authorization for the 209Q water and sewer funding? Anybody in the audience? Okay, there being none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing on the 209Qs for the water and the sewer funding authorizations?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration and to adopt the bonding resolutions to authorize the bonding resolutions?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Who's the mover?
Tom
I'm the mover.
mover.
Shaker.
Tom's the mover. And we'll do this, will you poll the board, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, I need to do that. Councilperson D'Alessandro?
Yes.
Councilperson Franco?
Aye.
Councilperson Marinaro?
Aye.
Councilperson Cassidy?
Aye.
Supervisor Hickman?
Aye. 5 ayes, the motion passes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I can't tell you what an impact this is going to be on the town of East Fishkill as far as economic redevelopment in the next 2 or 3 years. I think this is going to be the beginning of something big, and I'd like to thank the board for their faith and also for their vision. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks to the supervisor, too.
Well,
A lot of pushing, I know that, Supervisor. Thank you.
no problem. We had a very busy day today, I can tell you, in this respect, and but we try to make things happen, and with this infrastructure, this is such an important piece, so thank you very much. All righty, the first resolution on the agenda tonight is the MS4 report. Walter Artis, our MS4 consultant. We met at the workshop meeting last month. Walter presented us with the MS4 annual report, which is due in a few days. And I didn't know if anybody has any questions for Walter again. And I would like to thank Walter. He is pretty much our MS4 expert. and to thank him for all of his work. Does anybody have any questions for Walter before I ask for a motion to authorize signature on the document? Okay, with that, do I have a motion to approve, to authorize the supervisor to sign the MS4 report?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Councilman Marinero, I'm sorry.
Aye,
Did you
yes,
say
I
I'm
said
sorry?
aye, yes, I'm
My
sorry.
hearing's not that good. Okay, opposed? Thank you very much. Walter, we have to sign our MS4 report. And we have to have copies made immediately in the morning and get this. Oh, no kidding. Okay, Walter. And whereabouts? Okay, today's date is,
Why do you always wait till the last
Yeah, last minute.
You know.
You're handing in the homework at the last minute.
I've got a kid like that.
yeah, Walter, how many towns do you represent? 9 towns. So he's our MS4 coordinator for a lot of towns. Thank you very much. Thank you, Walter. We appreciate all of your help. All righty. Get that off to the printer. The second resolution authorizing the disposal of surplus highway equipment, kiln, backhoe, and leaf blower. Councilman Cassidy, would you please read the resolution?
Where there is an electric kiln, leaf blower, and a case super backhoe that the Highway Department has requested be declared surplus material, and therefore be resolved that said property is determined to be surplus material by the town board. Now therefore be it resolved that the highway superintendent be and hereby is authorized to receive proposals for the purchase of the equipment currently located at the Hosner Mountain Road Storage Facility.
Thank you, Councilman. It's just amazing the kind of stuff that you collect over the years. So we do have a resolution declaring this property to be surplus. Do I have a motion to authorize the property to be surplus and to be disposed of through auction or however? I think auction, or we're gonna at auction. Thank you. Motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. All righty, Councilman Franco, would you like to read the next resolution? That would be the lighting materials
Lighting.
installation.
Right,
bids.
but-
This is for the recreation for the McGrath Field.
Whereas the town board previously authorized advertisement for bids for lighting materials and installation, and whereas said bids have been received, and whereas the town board has received a summary sheet indicating all of the bids received, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby award the lighting materials bids to HZ Electric and the installation bid to Black Electric.
Great. Thank you, Councilman. As we know, we did a lot of work out at the McGrath parking last year, and the last part of the project was the lighting project. So we've received bids, and the town board has the bids before them. Do I have a motion to award the bids to lighting materials and installation to HZ Electric and Black Electric?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution number 4 is awarding townwide drainage bids, whereas the town board previously authorized the advertisement of bids for townwide drainage projects by the Highway Department, and whereas the bids have been received by the town clerk and a summary has been prepared, it is the desire of the town board to award said bids to the lowest responsible bidder. Now therefore be resolved that the bids for townwide drainage projects for Highway Department as set forth in the attached schedule and being labeled the lowest responsible bidder being hereby is awarded by the town board. And be it further resolved, the town clerk shall notify all bidders of said award. And it was, the award was, the lowest bidder was B&K Excavating with a bid of $216,734. Do I have a motion to award BK the townwide drainage bid?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank
And I
you.
got a comment
Certainly.
for the town engineer. I mean, I saw the bids, some of them, they come out quite high.
Is that normal? Yeah, I know.
Well, I think if you looked at the last bid, it's really high. And, you know, and some contractors who have work just kind of throw a number out there, and if they get it, they get it, you know? But I think if you look at the first 4 bids or first 3 bids.
They're pretty
I
close.
think there's a reasonable range.
And
Depends.
this company has done work for the town before, right?
Yes, yes.
Excuse me. Resolution 5 to authorize contract of VRI regarding Beekman Water and Sewer Districts. I'd like to table this resolution for the evening, being as we're going to be purchasing the Beekman Water and Sewer companies, and they are the present operators. I feel that it's best to keep them on, especially being we're in June, keep operating the systems as they have. They were supposed to have supplied us with a proposal. They have not done that yet. But we haven't closed either, so there's really no pressing need for this tonight. But I would like to get the proposal and forward that to the board as soon as I receive it. So I will be tabling that most likely until the June meeting. Number 6 is to authorize water and sewer rates regarding Beekman Water and Sewer Districts, because once we own the districts, we're going to be charging for their services. So whereas the town board serves as the board of commissioners of the various water and sewer districts within the town is in contract to purchase Beekman Water and Sewer. It is necessary for the town board to fix the water and sewer rates so that the appropriately quarterly billings may be made to residents of said district. Now therefore be resolved, the town board does hereby establish as water and sewer rates starting on or about June 1st, 2016, as water would be $5.88 per 1,000 gallons, with an 8,000 gallon per quarter minimum, and sewer will be $243.75 per quarter. Be it further resolved, Comptroller, Receiver of Taxes, and Supervisor shall utilize said rates and the issuance of all bills upon closing. And just a little word of explanation, we've sat down. Obviously, a private company operating water, sewer, they have different regulations than the town does. We obviously have we don't pay real estate taxes, they pay real estate taxes. It comes under our insurance, I believe the insurance is a little bit different because we have so many of them. Also, prevailing wages comes into play. So, but then again, we have some administrative costs, which we already do anyway for the other ones, so it's kind of a duplication. So Mark has sat down and we've discussed it. We feel these rates will cover the operations of the water and sewer districts, correct, Mark?
Yes, absolutely. That's our belief.
Yeah, we've looked at everything and certainly tried to be fair to the people that are paying and to make sure we cover all of our expenses. We're comfortable with these rates. Obviously, these rates are looked at every year.
Yeah, they need to be adjusted. These are actually the rates that are currently being paid by the residents in the district. So that's staying the same. There may be some property tax element to this as well.
As we had discussed upon the purchase with the public in those districts, so. And we will be actually having the public hearing to set the water and sewer rates, November at our budget meeting, correct?
For the property tax rates.
Yeah,
yes.
for the property tax portion, yep. And then reviewing these again in January 1st for the following year.
Yeah, we'll have more information by then about.
Yeah, and it'll be good. We'll have what we call historical, but we feel very comfortable right now with the rates as they stand, so. Any questions on the sewer water rates for Beekman Water and Sewer?
This area over here, most of the units, they have their meters, water meters, right, Mark?
Yeah, the entire
Yeah.
district is metered, so you use water, you pay for it.
My question is, you know, we've run into trouble in other districts where we weren't covering some costs. If we would, if the 588 or the 243 wasn't sufficient, and we'd have to revisit that, we'd have to go to the Public Service Commission?
No, the town board has the authority to set water and sewer
Okay,
rates.
even if it's an increase?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
If
you.
it's our water or sewer, we set the rates. So. All right,
Is this also going to include the purchase price?
This includes the purchase price. Now, as I said, there may be,
Repair price.
we're going to secure more than just the water and sewer districts. There's a development.
yes. Well, actually, we also got, along with the purchase of the water sewer, conservation easement.
Conservation easement,
Which
so.
is, secures certain properties to stay as they are.
So what's
So the-
really nice is we're able to buy it, supply it at the same price, hopefully, as they were already paying just to use it.
And secure the conservation
Yeah.
easement.
Right.
As I said, there is, so this does include the cost of the bond with the caveat that there may be some small property tax as well.
It's great.
And do we know the condition of the,
Of the sewer?
Of the sewer?
Sewer and water, yes.
it's all good?
Yep. They're older systems. Rennie Engineering did the review, and they found nothing really outstanding.
Okay.
Just like any old systems. And then one thing he did remark about the sewer system, it's an old style, so there's not a lot of pumps, not a lot of fancy mechanisms, and it's a basically sewer system.
Okay.
Mark, that easement, I think there is about 20 acres or 26 acres over there?
Well, the conservation is for the entire golf course.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that
I don't know,
property
how-
coming off the tax map?
No. Staying on the
It's
tax.
still a operating golf course, right?
Yeah, so it's still taxable.
Okay.
So, but, you know, the owner, the current owner always said he'd want to do away with part of the golf course and build houses, and, you know, with the community up there did indicate to us that they felt it would be better to be kept the golf course, they would appreciate that. So it really does work out, I think, in everybody's best interest. All right, with that, do I have a motion to authorize the water and sewer rates for the Beekman Water and Sewer District as proposed?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. We have a resolution recognizing the highway superintendent has interviewed and hired full-time seasonal labor to replace one that had left. This is a memo, the highway superintendent submitted a memo to the town board. And now, for be resolved, the town board is hereby acknowledged the hiring of Michael Fiscaletti as a full-time seasonal laborer in the highway department, being paid $11 per hour. Be it further resolved, Michael Fiscaletti will start May 21st, 2016, and that upon completion of his task, he will be removed from the payroll. And everybody's got a copy of the memo from the highway superintendent. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the hiring of this young gentleman for the full-time seasonal laborer?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Last, I do have something that had come up. This is from before I sent out an email today. Speaking of those sewer plants, that some of them are older, they don't have all the bells and whistles and all the fancy stuff. Well, we have a newer sewer plant, which does have all the bells and whistles and the newer stuff. And some of the newer stuff is not working as it should. Four Corners wastewater treatment plant, we had purchased, I believe, in 2012. It's not an old plant, but we've been having increasing number of pump and blower failures at the plant over the past year. These are controlled by variable frequency drives, which have been failing one by one. This intricate system in which the pumps and blowers must be controlled by these variable frequency drives. Scott, do you want to just talk a little bit about this? These drives are going, and I believe you can't actually replace them now. They're probably 8 years old.
Well, to try to replace an existing one, you're looking at about $15,000, we found out,
For what?
for one.
For one?
If we go with a more modern VFD and up to date, they're less than 5,000.
15,000 for
Right, so when we
one?
first started looking at this like a year ago, you know, we had a few of them out. So
Yeah.
we were looking at, well, geez, they're 15,000 apiece, are there other options? We looked at converting to a conventional analog pump with just floats.
Yep.
But then it's all the logistics of getting the floats to a tank over here and the pumps, you know,
Talk-
over
the-
here.
yep, the pump
They all
talking-
run off pressure sensors, you know, instead of floats. So we went through that, we met with a couple different consultants, because the concern was, you know, every so many years, we don't want to have to keep replacing these expensive VFDs. So through that process, we got to a point where we did receive a quote. I think our low quote is $75,000, actually replaced the entire system. Because in that time, we went from being 4 or 5 down to like there's a dozen of them down.
Yeah.
And like I said, one by one, they've been failing. So we're really at a point now, if we lose one more, we're in trouble. So we're at a point that we really need to just move forward and
Yeah, and basically we look
do have
to,
a couple quotes so we can move forward.
yeah, but we look to replacing them all, correct?
Just replace them all.
Yeah,
Yes.
with an upgraded unit?
Modern unit, yes.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
again, you know, 10 years from now, 8 years from now, we may have to replace them again. That's the nature of the VFD.
Yeah.
But the benefits are, you know, the pumps ramp up slow, so it's less, you know, electricity used because they're not kicking on all at once. So you do get a better operation, and the larger plants that are larger footprints and things are spread out with central control rooms, That's really how they're designed.
Okay.
Sagamore, for instance, is very simple pumps, simple blowers. We don't have VFDs at Sagamore. We
Okay.
don't have VFDs at Beekman, I don't believe, so.
Okay.
We have them at the Hamlet, we haven't had any problems with those yet, and we do have them at Four Corners.
Okay. So this is an issue that we really kind of have to address. We didn't think it would be happening as quickly as it has, but it's actually gotten to be a critical
Yes,
point
it's
right now.
escalated, yes.
What if,
So we're looking at, well, I had estimated $75,000 for the complete.
That's our low quote right now.
Yeah, but Scott's
for
asked for
16 of 'em.
$80,000 to be.
Well, when we get into it, you might have to
never know.
replace a couple of pressure sensors there, so I wanted to have a little cushion.
Yep. So, we talked with Mark about, we're going to have to find the funds. I don't believe we have that in that sewer budget at this time, but
Not at this time. We do have money in Four Corners Water, and it is the same tax base.
Yeah.
So in money we borrowed when we originally purchased the systems, and we borrowed a little extra specifically for capital improvements like this.
Yeah.
So we're,
Water side, we
But
didn't
we
didn't
put it
think
in
we
the
were gonna have
water
it
side.
on the
We
sewer
overestimated
side.
the water side, and we came up light on the sewer
Yeah,
side. But
yeah.
there's enough money there.
yeah, we're looking into the possibility of transferring it specifically because the Four Corners Water and Four Corners Sewer are the exact same tax base. So that's where we're hoping to fund this from.
Okay. And if not, we'll have to find the money short-term in another budget line and then just replace it into the
That's right.
budget line.
Yep.
But we really kind of do have to move on this rather quickly, because unfortunately, enough of these units have gone down, it's getting to be kind of critical.
Do we know why they're failing?
Well, I don't know if it's the climate, in the sewer plant, these are electrical components, I won't say they're quite computers, but computer-like, and just the age, how long will your laptop computer last, they do age out, so.
so if we have to replace them, you might as well replace them all, that's what you said, but if we got rid of the fancy equipment and went to the old,
Well, that was part of our
Looked at that,
evaluation,
yeah.
and we looked, it could be
they don't
upwards-
break as easy.
Well, it could be though, because now we have to replace all the pumps, and you got to drill through concrete to get, well, it could be upwards of $500,000 to convert. And that was what we tried to get our arms around. It just doesn't pay to do that. Even though it's simpler to maintain, your upfront capital cost is prohibitive.
Yeah.
Now, is this just one bid, or is this?
We have two
we've re-
quotes.
We've reached out for bids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have two.
I don't think we're going to have, to be honest with you, I hate to say, I don't think we have the time to put it out for an actual bid, because unfortunately, that could take months, just have the design work done and everything, so we're kind of working on an emergency type of situation. But we do need to get it done, because if we lose one more of these things, we may have somebody actually being paid just to sit there and watch the tanks fill up and turn on the pumps themselves, and, that's not a good situation.
Unfortunately, when that plant was designed, it didn't have built-in alarms. And that's another upgrade we're going to look to make in the future. Right, for the interim, we've been fortunate to buy these $350 units that call the operator directly, so we've been kind of retrofitting.
And these are the floats, right? The regular floats?
It's a little automatic call-out with a little float.
Yep.
They're remote. We put them in all our pump stations now. They're a great little gadget, and we tested one, worked it for 6 months, and to be honest with you, if they fail every couple of years, we don't care. They're just $300 a piece, so,
Yeah.
and so far, they're working great, so
Keep it simple.
keep it simple.
Yep. So this is where we are, and if the board is okay, we need to move and replace these guys.
So there is a company that maintains the system over there, right?
We have our operator, JCO, that runs the plant.
Right. So they usually know more or less when something will fail. I know
Well,
that
in all
this-
honesty, they inherited the plant, and really kind of unbeknownst to us, with, I think, 4 that were already failing. Each system has redundancy. So let's say this particular, EQ tank has 3, and maybe they took it over with 1 pump not working, but they still had 2. So the other operator's like, well, we still got 2 pumps running, but now we're down to 1. So it quickly went from having 2 backup pumps to 0 backup pumps within the last year. So the problem really started before JCO.
And we started
It
looking.
really wasn't brought to our attention, but when the new operator came in and said, we have a few, and since that time, we have many that are out. And
I know that-
that's not their technical expertise to, it's really electrical work, it's not.
And I know that with the new Beekman system that we bought, it was evaluated prior
Yes,
to us
yes.
buying it, so they give us an idea of how the system,
Yeah.
more or less the shape it was in.
Yeah, and that system, I believe there's a VFD in the water pump station that I think we're going to wind up replacing, but I think we have that covered.
It's the same variable.
Variable speed drive, yeah.
Right. That seemed to be the issue.
And Mark, the money comes again from the district. The rest of the time has nothing to do with this. right?
Absolutely, 100% covered by the residents in the district.
Yeah. All right, so if the board's okay, we're going to have to move along with this as an emergency repair. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in kind of a jam. So with that, do I have a motion to authorize the needed repairs at the Four Corners wastewater treatment plant?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much, and we will keep the board informed as to the progress of the project. All right, that's it for the resolutions for the evening. Budget transfers, tonight we don't have any budget transfers. It's time for public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak on general town issues?
Good evening. I have a question on the bid or bids. On these things that are gonna get bidded out, the backhoe, leaf blower, et cetera, are they,
Which bid is that?
authorize the highway supply?
Oh, the surplus?
equipment? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. Is there a reserve on these bids?
No, well, I don't know how the bids go. We give it to a public auction,
Yeah.
and they bid them out. I'm not sure
Okay.
how they do it. They come out, they take a picture of it, they post it, or they put it out for auction. We do that with our police vehicles and all that stuff.
All right.
All that stuff.
And another thing regarding the bid, Manny was making mention about something. These contractors that want to throw out an outrageous number, they ought to be considered, or not considered, they ought to be remembered going forward when bids are being put out there. I mean, I don't see any reason other than somebody figures that they'll take advantage of the taxpayers. If they, and that leads me to a question. If there is a bid and it's outrageous, or they're all outrageous, what happens in a case like that?
We throw out all the bids, rebid it.
Okay.
Look at the
Okay.
project. But when a lot of these bids are just put out in contractors' magazines, I don't really think we have the, we may note to ourselves that, hey, these guys have put out an outrageous bid at one time, but these are public notice, so it's not like we
No,
can't.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And
when
I think Scott's point is, you know what, they didn't have the time to really look at it, they just threw out a number out there, maybe they would get lucky, but certainly,
Right.
but you could,
They're lucky at our expense.
but you could see, well, then we would have thrown it out, as I
I
said.
understand. And all I'm saying is that going forward, these people that figure they're gonna get lucky,
Hmm?
they ought to be remembered for, trying to get lucky on us. And, one other thing, there's been a stop sign put up in Hillside Lake on South Hillside Road. There were the same people that continue to blow that stop sign. It's been there quite a while. And I do understand that, there hasn't been one there for 50 years that I'm there, and I understand that people can just forget, force a habit and just go through there. But it's not so much the stop sign that I have a concern about as the unsafe speed going around that turn. And it seems to be the same people that kind of blow that stop sign are the same people that just have no regard for the speed going down Lake Road. So, and I know that the police are stretched thin right now. I know that when the other two, I think there were two other officers at one point, we were getting help there, and that help seems to be diminishing. And we're left with a speeding problem, unsafe speed problem. So I just want to remind the people that live in the development that there's a sign there for a reason. It's for safety for everybody. And I would ask you and the chief if there's anything that we can do to add to that safety.
Okay,
All right, thank you, John.
thank you. Anybody else in the audience like to speak on general town issues?
Good evening. My question, John Curzio from Stormville. Tonight, I'm speaking in my capacity as a trustee-elect for the Carmel School Board. My question is directed to the supervisor. Mr. Supervisor, a few meetings ago, probably about 4 months ago, actually, it was brought up by a council member, Marinaro, that it would be perhaps a good idea to have a liaison to the school districts that are within the town of East Fishkill. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Councilman D'Alessandro also echoed that sentiment, that it would be a good idea and in the benefit of our residents. I'd just like to bring that up again, and hopefully either maybe tonight or at the next workshop meeting on June 9th, that the board would take that up again and either in a formal or informal capacity assign a liaison to not only the Carmel School District, but any other school districts that the town board sees fit. Would that be something that,
I just didn't say to the town board members, would any town board members like to volunteer to be liaison to any of the school districts? And I'll discuss it with them further.
perfect, thank you.
Yep.
That's a tough one, John, you know?
Well,
Those
I know.
meetings go up to 1 o'clock at night.
I
I don't mind doing it sporadically, but, you know, I mean, 1 o'clock in the morning, I've seen him,
I know, and then you drag yourself to work.
so,
Well, we'll certainly we'll take a look at it.
yeah, well.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience like to speak on general town issues? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ellen Smolinski. I actually wanted to know if we had received any information from Tom Woods on the dissolving of the Park District. At the last workshop meeting, he stated that he had sent off his...
Yes, he did. He sent it off to bond council for
Yeah,
their
bond
review. We haven't
council.
gotten it back yet.
He said it would be about 2 weeks, he
Yeah, I would
stated.
expect to have it. We've been working bond council, unfortunately, very hard with the issues we've been dealing with. But I believe we would probably have it by next workshop. I'll check with them.
Next workshop, okay. And also, I noticed that on YouTube, there was a picture, a picture of an aerial view of the parks, and on YouTube. And I was just wondering, how were those pictures taken? Were they taken with a drone?
I don't have a drone. I would think that probably the people that do our filming may have a drone. That's the way it appears. I didn't ask. I saw it myself. I know the town does not own a drone.
Okay. Is it something that the town solicited to have an aerial view
No,
of the parks?
no.
Okay. And if so, I was wondering if it was possible to use that equipment to have an aerial view done of Hillside Lake. This way we could see the before and the after of the $647,000 grant, you know, and see what it looks like before, and then maybe run it again after we see how.
We can speak with the engineers if they would have any capability like that. That would be really something up to them. I don't know, can you get that on Google Earth? I don't know how good they can get with their resolution anymore, but we can take a look at that. Before and after pictures, absolutely.
But if it is that, you know, they have that technology here, that would be something we'd be
Okay,
interested in.
we can take that.
Didn't they take pictures, though, when they did that dye test? Is that the...
No, we
That's an
did, we did, we
infrared.
did a nighttime flyover.
Nighttime, okay, that's right.
An infrared flyover, which really didn't show the lake.
I didn't see YouTube, so...
Okay, I also have an email that we received from one of the residents, Hillside Lake residents, and if you don't mind, I'll just read it real quick, and then I have 2 articles that she refers to. And she said, "Hello, Hillside Lake Board. I recently read an article about the Zika virus."
About the what?
Zika virus.
Oh, the Zika virus, yeah.
Yes, that's, she says there are fish eating larvae, and there is a huge concern that our lake will create a massive breeding ground for mosquitoes. Would the EPA be interested in stocking the swamp we call a lake with these fish to help kill the larvae?
Wait, now, I'm sorry, Mary Ellen, there was fish that eat the mosquitoes?
That's what she's saying. She's
Okay.
saying that, and she couldn't make it tonight. I guess she'll come to future meetings. but I did want you to see her email and the 2 articles that she referred to about this. Right now, it's saying right here, well, it was told to me from someone else that the virus is now in Westchester, Putnam,
Wow.
Nassau County, Suffolk County, and Hillside Lake being in the condition it's in is a,
Well,
you know,
and believe me, Hillside Lake is not alone.
yes.
There are certainly, Ivan Wappinger's has not long ago, and there's a lake over there that's completely greened over. So
Okay.
it's certainly, that'd be a question I'd have to contact the Department of Health.
Can I give
Because
this
when
to-
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because when issues like that are, handled pretty much by the Dutchess County Department of Health or State Department of Health, I can contact them and see what they have to say about it. Because obviously, the Zika virus, anything mosquito-borne is of concern, but that's something that's best handled by the experts, but I can contact them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening again. On the topic of what we refer to as the Hillside Lake Project with Renewage, we paid Stephen Gruber, or Renewage, $98,000 for his engineering, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't have the budget in front of me, so I can't answer that specifically.
We did pay Stephen Gruber $98,000. That was the contracted engineering.
I'm sorry, for which, because Mr. Gruber's been contracted with us for several different things.
The
Are you
Hillside
talking
Lake-
about the contract going forward with DEC?
Yes.
Or the work he's done in the past?
The contract going forward, the
Okay.
one that you're having a meeting on June 16th.
That he's going to be doing his presentation, yes.
Right. We paid him $98,000 for his engineering of that project. Since then, you've stated that it's been undergoing some revisions, perhaps, best way to put it. It's changed from what was presented to us back in January.
Well, I don't think that everything he presented at the time was cast in stone. I think he took the public's comments, and he was surveying, he's going to put it together on a map as is required by DEC, so the project actually will be.
Okay. You're not answering the questions I'm asking. You're
Well,
answering the
that's
questions you want to answer.
Well, then ask me the question
I
again,
will
sir.
just ask them again. I don't
Why not?
want to get in a heated debate with you on
No,
this.
no, we're not going to get heated.
Basically, my question is, I mean, are you saying that we are not redesigning the project based on what was shown to us in January? That is not.
Excuse me?
Has the project been
we had-
redesigned?
yeah.
Okay, great.
No, no, I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
agree.
say that again, please. The question
Hillside
is,
Lake, stormwater, the rehabilitation project that Renewage is doing in Hillside Lake. Do we
Yes.
understand what project we're talking about?
oh, absolutely. If you
Me-
say it slower, it would be helpful.
All right, we're going to meet on June 16th about this
Yes.
revised plan. So we already know that the plan has been revised compared to, is it getting late? Oh,
No, I just want to make sure
Yeah,
you have
we got a
enough
lot
time
of
to
time.
make your statement.
yeah, we'll have plenty of time.
Good.
We know that the plan has been revised. Can you tell us what was the reason for the revision? Was it based on community comments that it was revised, or was it to lower the cost of it, or was it to improve it? What was the reason for the revision?
Okay, at that meeting that we had a few months ago, Mr. Gruber and his staff took into account the, I would say, the constituents' concerns, or the people in the district's concerns about the project, and there was a lot of different concerns. We talked about, I don't think the project itself is changing. It's still an artificial wetland. It's still designed to do the same thing it was going to do. I am not the engineer. He has plotted it. I believe that there was comments from people in the audience that they did not want to see the entire beach taken up. I asked them to please look closely at that, because that is a very unique entrance into the lake, being the beach area. And I know they were surveying out there. And I believe he's going to put pencil to paper to show where he's going to be proposing to place his artificial wetland. I don't believe there's been any other changes to it. I believe he did speak at that meeting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, as I'm sure you will. There was a pipe that he put in there, which I was unaware of, to capture water from a further part of the lake to bring it in for recycling.
The airlift.
Excuse
He
me?
referred to that as the airlift.
The airlift, yes.
Is that, what are you saying about that? You said you believe it was...
I just said that he brought that up that night, and we will see what he proposes at the June 16th meeting.
Just to be clear,
Please do.
back in January, the presentation, there was no mention of anything going on the beach. That's changed since that presentation.
Okay.
So he didn't revise to use less of the beach or anything like that.
Well, we
So
see what
the
he brings
revision
on
that
this,
from
I
what
can't,
we-
excuse me?
Excuse me. From what we hear from your statements and your what you say at some of the meetings is that it's being revised and now it will be on the beach as opposed to not.
He feels that the best place for it to be is on the beach.
With this redesign, does he get paid any extra other than above the 98,000? that
Well, I
he's paid
can't
already?
say what he gets paid because I don't have his budget in front of me, but I do not believe there's any extra cost. This is just part of developing the project.
Okay, so this is built into that one lump sum payment.
I don't have the budget in front of me, but this is
I'm not asking
included.
you for
This is,
exact numbers.
let me finish, please, sir. But this is included in his development of the project.
In his one, in his,
In his
Prior
budget.
contract.
In his budget, yes.
okay, within the $98,000, thank you. When will we be able to see the new proposed design prior to June 16th?
I don't know when he's going to actually have it drafted. I don't know when the surveyors were out. They have to take the surveys, they have to apply it to paper, they have to put in all the dimensions and everything, so I can't speak for that. He told me he'd be very comfortable at the June 16th meeting.
Okay, I think it would be beneficial for people to see something
Why?
beforehand, so we have some idea of what we're coming into, especially being your limiting amount of questions. So that would take away a lot of that question and
I
answer.
believe in the past, we've had these meetings, and we've been pretty successful in answering everybody's questions.
Okay, but people come up with questions afterwards.
I
You're
will,
throwing it
I will
out
see if he
cold.
can have it any sooner, but as far as I know, he's putting it together right now.
Okay, so you will ask him?
I can
or
speak to
I
him
could
and see
write-
if
I could
there's
write to
anything
him
he
too and
has, yeah.
copy you,
Sure.
as I've done in the past, that's not a problem. I'm just curious.
Oh, absolutely.
I know there was talk that with this very specifics of this grant, the community is supposed to be involved in it.
Excuse me?
The community is supposed to be involved
Yeah.
in this project.
That's what the
That's the
June
specifics of
16th
the grant,
meeting,
and
and that was the last meeting.
And that
Yeah.
includes the design concepts as well. So the community is on
I
board.
think the community, I believe that part of the intent is to have community input, absolutely.
Okay. There hasn't been any area for community input, however, you're going forward with the design, so it begs to question, are you asking us if we like this design, or telling us this is the design you're doing?
Well, Mr. Gruber is designing the project. I do not know, I'm not an engineer, what it's going to take as far as area-wise for the project, location-wise for the project. That's what his engineers do. His engineers will bring something on the 16th. And it is something that the community is totally against, then I guess obviously we would have to take a look at the thing again. And that's really all I can say.
Isn't that part of what the grant states, that the...
Oh, they asked for
It does
public
have to be
input.
a
They
very-
don't, I don't believe they asked for public to design it.
No,
But they asked for public comment, and that's what we'll be doing on the 16th.
Right. So if the majority of the community say, hey, we don't want that on the beach,
And that's fine.
then it has to change, according
To
to
do
the
something,
grant
yeah.
specifics. You would agree with that? Is that how it's
I would,
laid
I would
out?
say that they will take public input, and if there turns out to be a great pushback that's saying the public does not want it on our beach, we will definitely take a look at it and see what the next step would be.
Okay. And in your opinion, what's the targeted goal of the project?
Excuse me?
In your opinion, as town supervisor and custodian to Hillside Lake Park District, what is the targeted goal of this
Okay,
project?
well, the targeted goal, and I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer it for the engineers, but my understanding, it's a wetland filter system, which is going to take the water from the lake during non-storm events and filter it and remove stuff that's in the water, and return it back in a much better shape than when it entered the filter system.
Okay. And from what I see, the location that has been chosen, from what I've last seen, and I don't believe it's changed much from there. If it has in a worst case, is right near the spillway. Therefore, the water that's being collected undoubtedly is going to flow out of the lake It's not going to go into the lake. Most of the quote-unquote cleaned water will leave the lake.
We'll have to take a look at that. I'm not the engineer designing
I don't
the
believe that's the intent
project,
at all.
but I don't know.
I don't know if that represented
That
clearly
might-
enough, but I don't believe that's the intent at all.
The intent of the grant
what-
has
you-
specifics that.
No,
you have-
that wet water is to return it back to the lake, not just discharge it downstream.
Right, but based on where it's located, here's the dam, here's 90% of the lake. The water is being purified here, and as water flows, it's going to the dam. It's not going to go this way.
Yeah, but that's a very
Especially
good
if it's
question for
going-
the engineer, but all I can tell you is that's not the intent. And I also want to add, what they submitted to the DEC, you got to keep in mind, was really a conceptual idea. And until they do all the survey and they get into the nuts and bolts of it, which is this process to come up with a really buildable design, and I know they had the prior public hearing, I know there's going to be another one to show that update, so it's really a process.
Okay.
We do our water and sewer systems as a process, you know, you come off with a draft, and then you find out all your hurdles along the way, you make your adjustments, and I think it's just part of the process.
Okay. I asked that question because, again, as I believe there are very specific details in the grant, that you had to meet certain requirements of improvement to the lake. And
Well, I think we
To
can
your
understand
point,
your
I don't think the
concern.
DEC is just going to spend this money just to have the water discharged out of the
No.
lake,
well,
so.
that's
to
what I'm
at the end of the
saying.
day-
I'm wondering how we're getting around that.
And at the end of the day, the DEC has to sign off on the design, so.
Okay. Honestly, I feel the amount of money we're spending on this project could have been much better spent just capturing the small percentage of stormwater that you are capturing it and routing it around the spillway so it never enters the lake. I think you could have done that for less than what's being charged.
I don't know if that was
spent
actually an
here.
option we could have.
Yeah, I
and
think
that
there's a
was-
DEC
That was
prohibition
brought
again on
up,
that. We
yeah,
looked
you
into
need
that,
DEC
yeah.
permit for another speedies discharge.
Yeah.
That was actually brought up to Mr. Gruber at that meeting, I recall.
Okay. Obviously, there was mention of a $6,000 to $10,000 per year maintenance and upkeep of this system. Have you come up, I asked this at least 2 times since January. I still haven't received the answer. As with the other questions I have here, I've asked them multiple times.
I understand. We'll have that answer for you on the 16th, though.
You'll have an answer, you don't know as of now yet?
No.
Do you know what my question is even?
I
Hey, sky's blue.
think you just asked a question about the maintenance costs.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's where you were asking, correct?
I was
I thought you
actually-
asked
I was
that.
actually quoting what the maintenance costs will be.
Well, I thought you asked that question,
My actual
certainly.
question,
Yeah.
if I have your attention now, is who will be paying for that maintenance cost?
Part of it will be the Hillside Lake Park District, and part of it will be the town highway, come out of stormwater budget. It'll
And,
be split.
and how
We'll apportion
how do
it.
you
We will take a
explain
look at
that?
apportioning of that, because at non-storm events, obviously, the filter is benefiting the lake and the people in the Hillside Lake area, so that, say, certain costs to that extent will be apportioned to the Hillside Lake Park District.
Okay, I see the airlift filter as a waste of time, and it's not doing anything. So what if we were to remove the airlift, as it's called, from the whole system? Now it's not benefiting Hillside. You can't pin it down and say anything's benefiting Hillside Lake with that project.
Okay. If
So
you'd
I would-
rather
I
have
would
it not-
propose,
I mean, if you, I mean,
I will
bring-
advocate for removing
Bring that
the
up to Mr.
airlift
Gruber,
portion
sure.
of it. So you can pay for the maintenance of it, because it's not benefiting Hillside
Okay.
Lake. So we shouldn't have to solely
Why
pay.
why would you say that, though, that it's not
he doesn't
benefiting?
believe, I believe he doesn't think it's going to recirculate and filter the water, the
But
what
why
I'm
would you say
taking.
it's not benefiting?
That's the only part of it that'll very minuscule, a very minuscule portion that will clean a little bit of the water.
Is,
And what percentage of the
is which part, though?
687, well, actually, it's 1.175 million. What percentage of the $1.175 million do you think is just that airlift?
well, again, I don't have the budget in front of me.
$10,000?
No, the airlift's going to cost more than that. But again, the idea behind the airlift is, my understanding is the wetland captures X percentage coming down that slope, okay? So it's the lowest hanging fruit. You got a slope, you got quite a bit of water that runs down there.
That'll
That's where the-
capture less than 25% of the
That's where they're
stormwater
going to
coming
case
into the
that.
lake.
Now, that only treats, say, if it's 25%. Now, the airlift is to try to grab water from the far side of the lake and bring that into the wetland filter at all.
Right.
So it's an enhancement of that feature.
Right.
So you
Now-
say it's not going to improve the lake, but that's the whole intent, is to improve the lake. And those engineers that develop that and work with that can better explain it than I can, but.
I understand an explanation like that coming from Mr. Hickman, but not from the town engineer,
And why is that?
okay? Because
Really?
where it's being discharged, okay, it's very obvious, it's going to take the path of least resistance, and that's over the spillway, over to the farm. Now, if you were telling me that this airlift was going to take the cleaned water and blow it to the other side of the lake, then I would say, okay, you're doing a little something there.
And you know what? And maybe that's the case, because again, I'm not designing it, but I know
Right.
the idea is to move water back and forth through the lake,
And-
whether it's on an intake basis or
As we were
an
told-
exhaust basis. whatever it might be.
I just offer that I think that you're asking questions that are better asked of the people
By the people that are
designing the
actually
system.
designing it, yeah.
Absolutely.
This is exactly why there should be open communication during the whole process.
And there will be
you
on June
shouldn't just
16th
throw
when you
everything
can
in front
ask,
of
when you
us,
can ask Mr. Gruber and his team of engineers.
Because
Absolutely.
it's quite possible Mr. Gruber will have to go back and redesign again. And eventually, Mr. Gruber is going to tell you, you know what? You didn't pay me enough to do this. You have to pay me more if you want another design. So money's going
don't-
to have to come from somewhere if you're this far into it.
Well, I'd have to see, but we should see on the 16th when you can ask his engineers these questions.
And as I said, this is where open communication and keeping the community in the loop. of what's
Absolutely.
going
On June
is important.
16th, you can ask
So-
Renewage all these questions.
So from January 26th to June 16th, that's too long of a span to not tell us what the thoughts are and what the processes are.
Well, I think the
that you're
budget
gonna
was
do.
actually posted, wasn't it, on our website at one time? The
What does
budget
the
for the
budget have to do
project
with
and
what
everything. I
I'm
know
asking?
you had some of the numbers. I don't think the budget has changed.
Okay, I'm not asking about the budget. I'm
You're talking
asking
about
open
costs. I thought you were talking about
I'm not talking
budget.
about cost, I'm talking about the design of the project.
Okay, well, that would be very well suited for the June 16th meeting.
Okay, and I'm saying I think that between January 26th and June 16th,
Mm-hmm.
and the January 26th, you're hoping to break ground in March, a whole lot
I'm
of...
sorry, we never said we would break ground in March.
Hoping to break ground in March.
No, 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 I don't, not March of
It's
this
on-
year.
it's on YouTube.
Excuse me, sir, no, there are permits that have to be, permits that may have to be gotten from DEC. I believe we were looking at starting construction in September. I don't know where you got the March date. I'm sure that you can tell me where you got it.
It's easy enough to find.
I know that.
I can, if you give me a projector next meeting.
I
I'll-
know you can.
I'll put it right on the
But
wall.
my recollection from the meeting, we had talked about having design done, getting the grant approved, which we did. We just got the approval last week from DEC. Everything takes time, and we need to finish our environmental review, getting any permits from DEC, and I believe that we looked at starting this sometime in August of September, so.
Okay. And what about dredging out the lake?
Our grant was denied, so we will not be dredging out the lake.
Okay, now you already admitted that you had a certain portion in there that was calculated that you have to take out of there. So when do you plan
Mm-hmm.
on doing that?
Oh, we've already done that. We're working with the budget we have at hand.
You've already taken out the...
We are working with the money that they've given us, the $647,000.
Okay, even though it's not supposed to come out of that, I thought that's what you just said.
We're not dredging the lake, sir. I told you it was,
I'm not asking...
the part of this project that was supposed to
I'll
come
be
out
very
of there.
specific
Yes,
with my
please
words
do.
for you,
Yes,
okay?
and speak slowly.
Yes. The town of East Fishkill
Mm-hmm.
stormwater conveyance system over the past 20-some-odd years has dumped, what time we got? Okay,
Well, I don't know, it's almost 8
3
o'clock.
minutes
You
to
have plenty of time.
I'm just checking. You're checking.
Walk
so I'm
slower if you like.
I'm checking, it's okay. So we already, we all agree, and we all know the town's stormwater filtration, stormwater conveyance system has been dumping sediment in Hillside Lake for over 20 years now. None of that sediment has been removed.
And I
Some-
believe that we actually calculated out that.
Excuse me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, may I finish? We all agree that the town's stormwater conveyance system has been dumping sediment into Hillside Lake for the past 20-some-odd years, and we're all working hard to try and get that out of there. Some time ago, there was a calculation, I believe, from DEC to calculate how much sediment was put in there, and it was the responsibility of East Fishkill to remove it. You're telling me you can't use the grant money to do this, and you said you're not going to do it, and then you're saying you're going to use some of the grant money to do it. So all I want to know, I don't care how you're doing it, how you're paying for it.
I know you don't.
When do you plan to do it?
Okay, we will take a look at that specific part of the project. Unfortunately, being as we were denied a few months ago on our dredge project, we have had to go back and figure out how we're going to remove, how much was it? Do you remember off the top?
I think it was roughly a 10-wheeler a year, something like.
Yeah.
Damaso brought it to my attention. I think
Yeah, it
22
wasn't a huge amount. We'll figure out how we will do that.
22,000 pounds a year, which is like 11
Something like
ton, which,
that.
how many tons can you put in a 10-wheeler?
About 12 tons.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
what
20
that
years,
was.
240
And we will figure that out. We've been focusing a little bit more on this project. And, you know, I know one of the things that, you know, which I thought was brought up at the January meeting, which was pretty telling, and actually, we were just reading an article on lakes, and in one of our old DC books on lakes, I know everybody says, oh, there's a stormwater pipe coming into our lake, you've destroyed our lake, but also you have to consider phosphorus loading from other sources besides any stormwater discharge. Obviously, one of the things that I did notice that Mr. Gruber's engineer mentioned, when you look at the elevation of the lake itself, and you look at the elevations of the houses, and when you look at septics and their elevation of the leach fields or what have you, that also may play a very important part in the phosphorus loading of the lake. So, you know, just, I know everybody, I know that you keep saying that we did discharge some certain amount of fill into the lake, and yes, we did, which we will remove that, but I just want to make that point. The bigger part, I think, of the problem with Hillside Lake is the phosphorus loading, but we certainly will attend to how many truckloads that is.
Okay, and I think we just addressed that because we knew, I think, 2 years ago already how much was in there, and what was it, 240 tons?
I think it was roughly 11 ton a year times 20 years, you can do the math, yeah.
So we're looking at approximately 240 tons.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm sure there's been more runoff from roads,
And you got to
from
understand, up
yards.
until recently, that was all going to be incorporated into that dredging project. We had an open grant application,
We
which
thought we were going
just
to be able to
recently
resolve that
denied,
right
so-
there, yeah. And the other thing, too, that you have to remember, too, is when plant life grows and dies in the lake, it creates, it lessens the depth of the lake, and then actually hurries up the
we
cycle.
all know what caused
so.
the plant, right?
There's a lot of problems, there's a lot of issues we can discuss with Hillside Lake. But we
have
will
been
be
down there,
discussing on June 16th, the artificial wetland project, and if you have questions as pertaining to that, I think it would really be better addressed to Mr. Gruber and his engineers.
I'd just like to add, I think, and I don't know if it's public access, well, it is, if you walk along the rail trail. If you go over to Lake Walton,
Yeah.
I just want to give everybody a real good example of a lake, very similar to Hillside Lake, shallow lake. There's nothing there, it hasn't been anything there for I don't know how many years. Used to be a trailer park around
Yeah.
the lake. And if you go there in the summertime, in the shallow areas, it looks just like Hillside Lake.
kidding.
There's no
How many
stormwater,
septic
there's no
systems are
stormwater
there?
outlets,
Yeah.
it's just
Just a
shallow
lake.
sunlight,
It
algae.
could actually be a
lily
natural
pads,
aging
they
of a
die
lake.
off, and that lake is slowly going to become a wetland.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no storm runoff into it. It's just
Or
a natural
septic
progression.
tanks.
Could be a natural aging of a lake, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know, these questions could have been done in 2 minutes, but
Well, these questions
you
are...
were, I don't know, you were going off on some other topics.
Oh,
You
no,
were-
no, no,
But to bring it
I
back
would
to the
disagree
question-
with that. But I do think that a lot of your questions really would be much better answered by the engineers designing the project.
Okay. The engineers designing the project are not dredging the lake for the sediment that's been put in there from that we were just discussing, the 240 some odd tons.
Hmm.
Okay? So let me go back to that simple question again.
Sure.
Okay? I think you're done explaining that there's, you know,
Oh,
nitrates and
absolutely.
everything else.
Thank you
Okay.
for letting me speak.
I just let
I
you go.
appreciate that. I appreciate
and
that.
we'll come right back. It's no
I know.
problem. I enjoy it, actually. So 240 tons, we don't need to have an exact number before we start taking that out of the lake. So why can't we go in and say, hey, it's got to be at least 200 tons that we have to take out of there. Let's plan to go in and take out 100 tons next month. And then we'll do more calculations to come up with that exact number. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is because it was just that, not that long ago, where we got denied for the grant that we hope to get for the dredging. We have not budgeted for removal of the 100 tons this year. And it's a project that, I mean, there's other things that we have to spend our resources on, so we did not budget for the 100-ton removal this year.
All right. A common analogy that's been mentioned at this podium more than once in reference to that would be, I don't budget to crash into someone's car when I leave here, right? But I have to pay, right? I crashed into someone, I'm at
Yeah.
fault, I gotta pay, right? Gotta find the
Or
money
your insurance
somewhere.
will have to
I
pay.
can't tell the guy,
And your insurance will
sorry.
have to pay, yeah.
I can't tell the person, sorry, I didn't budget for that, you
Right.
know, hey, you're out of luck. So I don't accept that as an answer
Well,
from you.
okay, I can understand that.
And now, you know, we touched on that we're talking $1.175 million, and I believe we were coming 322,000 short, and I'm not asking you to confirm the exact number. It was somewhere in the area of $322,000 short. You were hoping to get some kind of grant to fill that void in that, and you didn't get that.
Right.
What's the plan?
To watch every penny that we spend on this project, to do the project that he presented to us under a very tight budget, and that's basically what we're
Right,
going to
so
do.
the project he presented to us costs $1.175 million. We're $322,000.
We've gone through his budget, we've eliminated certain things that we can provide for him, like he had provided for insurance. We provide the insurance under the town umbrella. There's a savings there. There's a savings by having certain tasks done in-house. So we are very comfortable that we're going to be able to get down to what we need to get down.
There's a savings by removing the airlift. You can look into that.
Excuse me?
You can remove the airlift system.
I know,
That would be a savings.
I'm not the engineer, so.
I'm making a suggestion. You're looking for places.
We'll make it to Mr.
you know,
Gruber
You
and
want
his.
to tighten your belt.
Make
so.
it to Mr. Gruber and his engineering team.
I don't have to make it to him. I'm making it to you.
Oh, no, I
You
think you
speak
really
with him.
should. If this is something that you truly believe, I really think that that's something you
Okay,
should
but
bring
it's
up.
not up to Mr. Gruber to find the money,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is it up to find that money?
Excuse me?
Who is it up to come up with that 322,000 approximately that we don't have, or cut that?
We are doing everything we can in-house.
And I'm asking a question because I want to make sure it's not going to fall back on the property owners of Hillside Lake. Have to foot the bill for that portion
I do not
of
plan
your
to be
storm.
spending any, I do not plan, except for the operating expenses, the costs of operations per year, which some will have to be borne by the people in Hillside Lake. We're doing our best to keep this project on track, on budget, not to impact the residents of Hillside Lake. Obviously, you're going to want me to say no, you're going to want me to say absolutely not, and I can't do that, but I will tell you we will do our best to keep this on track and under budget or at budget.
And what's the plan, being we're only capturing 25% of the stormwater that's coming into the lake, actually a little less than that, but I'll just say 25%, it's easier. What are we doing proactively to look at what we're going to do about the remaining 75% of the stormwater that's coming? I know we're putting deep sump pumps, and you keep mentioning that, and I have a question on that later, but we have to capture the waters in the same manner, I would think, being this is what we say is the best approach, is doing this renewage project. So are we looking into that already, or?
Well, we have considered other options with our deep sumps. We've looked at them, obviously. This is, I know that you feel, this is not specific only to Hillside Lake, so we look at other lakes and see what they've done. Deep sumps is one of the main answers that they use, one of the main solutions that they use. Regular maintenance of those sumps. Stormwater does go into the lake from all different things, but I'm not going to get off on a tangent because I don't want to bore you any longer.
Oh, you're not boring me
But
at
there's a
all.
lot of things that we are looking at with Mr. Gruber. But no, right now we're focusing on the project at hand.
Okay. On the topic, while we're on the topic of the deep sump pumps, and you had mentioned, regular maintenance, I believe it was back in March, I had asked what the maintenance schedule is for the Hillside Lake, for vacuuming out the Hillside Lake storm drains,
Yep.
and I believe it was said it would be up on the website within a week. I've searched high and low on the website.
Check. I believe it's part of our MS4 report.
I believe the highway superintendent answered that question back then, so perhaps you could ask him.
Okay, I'll ask him. I would just like to say, would you like to see how many catch basins in Hillside Lake have been cleaned per year?
I would like to see a plan of where the catch basins
Okay.
are.
Okay.
I would like to know what the schedule is of how often they should be pumped, when they are due to be pumped next.
Okay.
That's
Well,
what I'd like
I
to
can't speak for the highway superintendent. Obviously, you're talking about several catch basins. We will take a look at that.
Okay, so back in March, it was supposed to be up on the website.
But we do a
within
lot of
week.
work. We have 6,000 catch basins in the town of East Fisher. We do not have actually specific plan to do all 6,000 of them, but we have been pretty diligent about doing those around Hillside Lake. If you'd like to know what dates we will be doing them, what times of year we would be doing them, I possibly could give you a ballpark. I don't think everything's set in stone, and I'm sure if we were to give you something more of a seasonal, I would hope that would suffice.
Okay. Another thing you can jot down is information that would be very handy to have is how much was taken out of those catch basins last time they were pumped. So I'm sure we measured, that was part of the plan, is we were supposed to measure how much comes out, so we have a benchmark as to how much
Well, I
is going
can't
in.
say, I know that under MS4 that we would probably have some calculations for amount removed, but I can't say it'd be specific per basin.
I would think that every basin, you would mark down how much came out and whether the basin was full, because if the basin's full, obviously it's not catching any more of the sediment, it's just flowing through into the lake.
Right.
So I would think there should be some stringent records showing that. So is this something you can provide?
I would take a look at our MS4 records, yes.
Okay, this isn't falling under the highway
I
department
mean, this is
anymore?
nothing, this is not what I'm directly involved with, but I will certainly see if I can find any records as far as cleaning of basins in Hillside Lake.
Okay. Do you know if we calculated how much was taken out of those catch basins last time they came around?
I think I just answered that. That is not really what I look into, but I will see if I can find out.
You don't want to ask the
I
highway
don't
superintendent.
feel the
You did it
need to
here
ask the
because-
highway
yeah.
superintendent. You know, one of the problems too is, one of the problems also is, come to a meeting and, trying to answer all the questions. Sometimes you have to go look things up.
Okay. And again, that comes down to, transparency. Maybe with the new website, we can have a little more information on there that's just at our fingertips. We don't have to come.
Oh, it's
and
possible, it's
ask.
possible. I can't say what happened some of the other data that we put on our current website. It's been very difficult to deal with.
How is the new website? Are we getting a new website, or?
Oh, yeah, we're working on it. It's quite a project to build a new website we are working on as
That
we
was a
speak.
Question back in January, I believe I asked too, is who's the
yeah.
web company going to be?
Yeah, Dutchess County.
Dutchess County Web Company, is that the name?
Dutchess County IT, there, we're
County
partnering
IT.
with Dutchess County, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And who is going to manage the website? Because it seems like the current website, although not the greatest, the biggest issue is that there's old outdated information on there and current information is not put on. So it seems like the person who's supposed to be in charge of doing that
Yeah.
is falling short on that. So who will be doing
Certainly
that?
take a look
once
at that.
have
We
a
have
new
somebody
website?
in-house that takes care of that.
House? Okay. I look forward to seeing that. I'm curious, I remember when you first came into office, you had on the website a supervisor's blog or something like
Yeah.
that. And I was pleased to see that. I was like, wow, somebody's being transparent, somebody's
Yeah.
sharing information openly. Obviously, that didn't last very long.
No, I did it
but
for,
I
I
think
did it
was
for
a great
quite a
thing.
while.
I think it would be a good thing to bring back.
No, I did it for quite a while, actually. It would take quite a few hours to do something like that. It's a big endeavor. And unfortunately, the demands of the job have grown over the years, and there's a lot of things that I need to attend to. So unfortunately, I can't keep up with that as much as I would like to.
Has there been any thought of putting a frequently asked questions section on there or a open question area where you can
I
put
don't,
in a question?
I don't do the website. I mean, we've
But
looked
the
at different.
concept, I'm asking about the concept.
Excuse
I'm
me?
not asking you to be a web designer, I'm asking about the concept. Do you think?
Not
that
to
would
my
be-
knowledge, not to my knowledge. We have kicked around with what the website will have, but I'm not really developing the website. Frequently asked questions, I do not think that was actually ever brought up, but there was discussions about different attributes that the new website would have.
Possibly a different
I don't
area
believe
for each community.
FAQs was on that.
So the community could go to their area and see.
I'm not sure
More
FAQs
information.
was on that, but there were other things that the new website will provide, other services it will provide that may replace FAQs, but I can't certainly answer that one myself.
How do you feel the new website will benefit the community? Obviously, it'll benefit,
Excuse me?
how do you feel the new website will benefit the community? Obviously, it'll benefit the people who put the information and have to use the website, to upload documents or whatever. But how do you feel the new website is going to benefit the community over
Just-
the current website?
Just as every website benefits any community, it offers information to the community, and people can actually go on and find information they need. I'm
John?
not sure what your question really is. I think that's kind of a
Oh, you decided you
open-ended
need a new
question.
website, right?
I'm not, what, excuse me?
You decided East Fishkill needs a new website.
We decided years ago
Posting
that,
service.
excuse me, sir, just let me answer that question. We had decided years ago East Fishkill needed a website, so we engaged a contractor to create the website. But as we can see over the years, the website has not been doing well, and over the last couple of years specifically, it's been having a lot of breakdowns, so.
John,
Okay.
John,
Was a question? Oh,
just one thing, if, I'm not managing the website project, but I was in on a few meetings, and like, as an example, one of the services that the county offers is you can sign up as a example, a Hillside Lake resident, and say, when anything gets put on the website that gets tagged as related to Hillside Lake, you'll get a message.
good.
You know, so that you don't have to go check every day. It will
Right.
let you know every time a new document or.
Positive, yeah. Okay.
Just as an
That's basically what I
example.
was asking, is what
Like I
is it
said,
offering the
FAQs,
community?
that kind of threw me off.
What
a
is it
little bit.
offering to people that are paying for it?
And also, so you know, you asked a question before, the supervisor alluded to it, but we're using Dutchess County Shared Services for
Okay,
it.
okay.
He said Dutchess County, you thought that was the name of the, yeah.
Okay. I'll wrap it up now. You know, on the topic of unanswered questions, back in March, for the second time, I brought up something that someone else had previously brought up about the thought of having a volunteer town board, so all people feel represented up there. And you said you'll look into it. What'd you find?
You're talking, I don't know if the New York State law allows that. I mean, if you want volunteer town board members, if that's something that you would like to have put on, I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no answer to that
didn't
one.
look into it,
I think
what you
it's
said.
kind of, no, I'm not going to look into it. I have a lot of stuff here I have
It's
to
an
look
answer,
into
though.
before the next meeting. I find that to be an interesting concept. I wonder why no other towns have volunteer town boards. I can assure you the town board members do work. And I do believe they should be compensated. An all-volunteer town board is an interesting concept. They use that for the school boards. So we'll
Would
see
you
how that
consider
works.
expanding the board to 7
Let's see how that
members?
works. Excuse me?
Would you consider expanding to 7 members? So there's more diversity.
I hadn't given that a thought. I don't know if that's really under my purview. I think it's something that would have to be put out to the voters, so we'd have to ponder that a little bit.
Okay, but in your opinion, would you consider that?
I would have to think about that. I know you like to come up and ask direct questions and get direct answers, but I don't like to answer quickly about something I'd like to give some thought to.
That's completely understood, that's a new
I
question,
appreciate
but
that.
you realize all the questions I've asked prior to this have been asked as far back as March of last year,
I can imagine your frustration.
and I don't have the answers.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
If I may interject, I can answer for myself. I am against the voluntary board
Okay. For what reason?
because we have elections for a reason,
Okay. What is the reason we have elections?
for people to be represented. People come out and vote.
Okay, but elections can be swayed, as we all know.
We campaign,
Yeah.
we get votes.
And so would the volunteers.
How would you how would you pick the volunteers?
I disagree.
You-
I
you would be
respectfully,
elected-
How would
you'd
you
be
pick the
elected by
vol-
the- by
I
the
respectfully
town, by the
disagree.
How would
community.
you pick the volunteers?
Anybody who wants
you would
to
have an
volunteer.
election.
We would have an election, exactly. That's been the American way.
Right, but at least you would know that you have somebody that wants to, they're not getting paid,
Mm-hmm.
so there's really nothing much in it for them. They are dedicated, they want to do that.
How do you know that?
Yeah.
How do you know they're going to be
You know
dedicated?
what? If they're not, they're out. As opposed
How
to
could you
just-
prove that they're dedicated?
As opposed to just being put up there because they're a Republican.
I was put up here, and all these people were
I
put up
didn't
here
s-
because we won an
That was
election.
not directed at you, first of all.
But we,
I'm making an example. I'm not directing it at you. I don't feel you were put up there because you're a Republican. But I'm looking at a whole, I'm neither. I don't go by any party, okay? I don't want to affiliate myself with any party. I don't believe there should be party lines, okay? But I'm looking at an all-Republican, I mean, I mentioned this before.
all of us who were elected by the people of the town of East Fishkill to represent them in an election.
Mm-hmm.
We were all elected by the people of the town.
Right. We'll
You know,
leave it at-
Mike, if I may interject with this volunteer, I see a lot of volunteer boards. They are really not accountable to their constituents. And I am not going to go and point fingers, but there is a local board that is costing us $240 million a year. and they really have no accountability to the taxpayers, okay? You know, a volunteer board has to be accountable to somebody, okay? And many times, those boards, they have the majority of the few, not the majority of the many. And, you know, I tell everybody to participate in government at this level. We are really accountable to you guys. When you direct a question to us, we have an obligation to answer it, to give you answers. This is the beautiful thing about a
Can I hold
local
you at that
board.
one point,
I'm sorry?
the obligation? Can I just hold you on that one point?
Yeah, the obligation is just, and you know what? There is an evaluation process.
Yeah.
We are elected every 4 years.
We'll have an obligation
You know-
to give us answers.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to make that very clear to Mr. Hickman,
But-
that I
but
just
if
went
we
down
don't- but
a
if we
whole
don't,
list
Michael,
of
if we
questions here
don't-
that haven't been answered.
If we don't, the community has an obligation, if we fail, to remove us from office. And I am all for that. I mean, that is a basic principle of our Constitution. I strongly believe in that. I love when I see this room full of people that are really come and listen. When somebody tells me, I watch it on TV, that's not participating. Because what you're doing tonight, you are doing your job. And you're making sure that we're doing ours. So I don't know if I could agree that the validity of a board, the elected board, is not, and just because this board might be represented by Republicans, does not invalidate the fact that they are not really responsible in doing their duties. Connecting with the community and having a back and forth community. I talk to people all the time, and I'll take their information and bring it to the town supervisor. We have a discussion. I mean, not everybody wants to participate. Many times, that's why there is not a good turnout in the elections.
I know, I'm on the Hillside Lake
You know,
Board. We're
that's
trying to
why
get
our
members.
country
Nobody wants to
today
do it.
is what it is.
Nobody wants to
Because
do it.
people don't want to hear it. Oh, you know, it's the same old thing. You know, if you don't participate, if you don't contribute to at least sharing information with us, we have nothing. We're gone to hell and back.
And that's a two-way street. And that's
But
why I'm
the
here
other thing
tonight
I wanna
asking
say,
these questions.
Democrats and Republicans.
I wasn't
mean,
targeting against the Republicans, that wasn't my intent in the
Right,
statement.
okay.
I wasn't saying you Republicans are bad or Democrat or anything like that. I thought I made it clear, I don't follow any party lines.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not pointing out and saying Republicans are bad.
No,
Okay? That was not my intent. On one point that you made there, you said, I'm here doing my job, which in a sense is correct. I don't want to be up here asking these questions and going back and forth with you. But as a Hillside Lake board member, I'm here doing my service to the community to try and get these questions answered for the most people to hear the answers to. Not to go in your office and get an answer from you to me that then I have to transfer somehow to people who, I'm not going to go knock on 400 houses on their doors and tell them, here's the answer. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm doing my service, trying to get answers
Yes.
for the community that pertain to the community I live in, as a board member.
And you
So
should be commended for
that's-
that. I mean,
that's
that-
a very
you're
valid
doing-
point.
You're doing
Now, the problem
a
here
service
is,
to the community.
as Manny said, you're obligated to give us answers. And
I would hope,
again,
excuse me?
over a year, I've been asking some of these questions.
Some of these questions, many of these questions will be answered at the public presentation on this project on
Okay,
June 16th.
about the project.
I would just ask that you would ask those questions
So
of the
I'm
engineers.
I'm sure Stephen Gruber will tell me all about the website as well.
Well, the website, I don't know if you've been asking for about that for a while. I think I have made announcements at town board meetings. We are currently working on doing the website, and we understand there are issues with it. And I'm not sure, I know you had questions back from March or something, and
March of last year.
March of last year about the website?
Yeah. Remember I was asking for the Hillside Lake community meetings to be put on the
Yes,
website?
yes.
That was, yeah. Long time ago.
That was a long time
You
ago.
can
That
go
was
on- you
when-
can go on the website and see when that was posted up there, because I think it took 6 months to get it up there, so you can even tack on 6 months ahead of that.
Okay.
And we can answer, all of
I
these
know.
things have, all of these
Yeah.
things I come here with have facts behind them,
Well, I understand,
right?
I understand.
And that's all I ask from you, is facts.
No, I understand
in
your,
return.
I understand your point of view.
I think, Mike, the other thing about the website, once we we've finalized all the details, working with Dutchess County, you're really going to see a different product than what we have now. The town was bearing all the costs, and we were trying to save money. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, the way things are today, you can't really give a good, decent service and not hiring a person that really is capable of continuing the work that needs a website updating and everything else. I think that once it's done, I don't know all the details, but once that new product is coming out, the whole community is going to benefit from it. And again, you're going to have inputs to, if you want something else to be added, there should be no issue
It'll be quite
at
improved.
that point.
Yeah.
Is there a target date for its launch?
And I don't want to speak on a target date. I know there's going to be a meeting. We've been meeting with all the departments heads to get all the information that they need to have on the website, to clean up the website. I believe we have a meeting with them early June with Dutchess County IT. And, but then it's basically they go back, I think it'd be another month or two after that for them to actually assemble it. But I cannot speak on their behalf.
I would be very grateful if a multitude of current information was routinely put on that new website, so I don't have to come up here and ask for it or foil it or any of these things. If this stuff can be put out there for us to go in there and read it or download it or whatever, I wouldn't have to come here and ask most of these questions.
I think you'll get a lot out of the new website because it's going to be a bunch of towns. It's going to be a real
Okay.
company doing it. And they're going to know what Beekman's doing, what Hyde Park's doing, what Fishkill's doing. They're going to take the ideas from all of them, and they're going to be able to come back to us and say, hey, this is, Fishkill asks for this. So you're going to get a more of a
Okay.
group feeding type idea, because
That's good.
websites, I've been on government websites and everything for the last 2 weeks, and I'd hate to tell you, East Fishkill's is better than the government's.
Well, the government's running on
That's
nuclear.
how bad
It's running on nuclear plan by floppy disk, 8-inch floppy disk still. Was on the news today, so. Lastly, I'd just like to make a note that the last town board meeting, you skipped over comments from the board. You just closed the meeting without going to comments for the board.
I'm surprised. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you did that. I just wanted to point that out and.
Well,
make
if
sure
I did,
you're
it was
aware of that.
purely non-intentional,
Okay.
because some days are rather long, and some days I just missed that.
That is the portion where you answer questions, or other board members can tell us some more information.
Oh, I understand what it's,
Or
I
board
understand the
members,
intent, but it was certainly unintentional.
Okay, thank you.
When Michael was asking a couple of questions, you alluded to Lake Walton, and you
Yes.
compared Lake Walton to Hillside Lake. And you said that it was an aging, dying lake.
Well, I said that. It might be just the actual, an aging lake. You know, it might be a natural thing.
It also doesn't have 450 homes living around it and drinking, and somehow getting the water from it. And being around it with mosquitoes or with all of what's accumulated there over the past 22, 24 years. I just think comparing a trailer park lake that has to have some kind of drainage, it's got to have some kind of water coming in and out of it, otherwise it would just be stagnant water, no?
It's like a little stream that runs in and runs out.
So it is running somewhere
Yeah.
into some water area,
But there are no culvert pipes that discharge into it. There's no road network around it.
right? So there's no stormwater, you're saying, going into it?
Right. Other than what hits the ground and runs in.
Runs off the ground, not what we call point discharge. It's called sheet flow.
But it's also high up when you go up to the rail trail sometimes, and it's extremely high up. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that washed down
The
on
slopes.
side, the slopes
Yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that. The other thing that you said is I came up here and I asked about Mr. Wood. I don't know why he's not here tonight, but I asked about the dissolving of the Park District.
Right, I have that
And we've been
written down.
talking about and asking about that for over a year.
Yep.
And then when Michael asked the question about who's going to pay for the maintenance on the new system, you said it's going to be divided with the Park District.
And the stormwater, and our stormwater taxes, yes. like
But
highways.
if we're not a
we
park
have a
district,
budget
if
for
we're
storm.
trying to not be a park district anymore, and if you're on board with us dissolving the park
Oh,
district.
if you dissolve the park district, it's a whole different story.
Okay,
Absolutely. If you dissolve the park district, absolutely.
okay.
I was just
That's
going as it is presently.
I thought, that was like an oxymoron. We're trying to do it, but you're going to, you know what I mean? Then how does
Oh,
it
no,
go
I
away?
understand
How do
that.
we get the correct information on how to do it right the
If
first
you dissolve the
time?
park district, it would then become, I would imagine, and I can't speak for that, to be honest with you, it would be more of a stormwater, townwide stormwater district, something like that. But I have to ask because, then you still have, like when you talk about lighting district, you have lights in your district, so, you would still have like a lighting district. You
We
just wouldn't
still
have a
would.
special park district.
Right.
But you would still have lighting, costs and of that nature, so.
The other thing that Michael was talking about as far as renewage, moving that from the island to the beach, and then taking up a lot of the beach, and now moving it to the side of the beach. And I think what my mind is telling me, well, the water is all over here. Here's the project.
Yeah.
Here is the swim hole, and there goes the water to the cows.
Yeah, no, I don't think that
The
we.
cows are going to drink nice, clean water, and all the water's coming this way.
I think, and we took that from Mr. Wallers's comments, absolutely.
I just thought that,
Yeah.
is that how, I don't.
Well, again, you have to ask me, but I will relay that to Mr. Gruber when I speak to him either tomorrow or Tuesday.
Do you think at this time, it's possible to move that
This is
to a
really-
proper area?
This is for them, but I will certainly relay that message to
Okay.
Renewage,
Thanks.
okay? Because I wrote that down, Mr. Wallers made his concern very clear, and it's a valid concern, and I will let Mr. Gruber know that,
Thank you.
okay?
Good night.
Anybody else like to speak on general town issues? Okay, there being none, do I have a motion to close? Oh, I'm sorry, items from the board. You see how I do that?
I'd like to mention
We have
something.
long days sometimes, many long days.
In our, we get a magazine, Association of Towns from the State of New York, and in there, for the Hillside Lake residents, they have a really nice article on nursing a lake back to health, on the stormwater solution that is currently being proposed and that we're doing through the grant. I'll leave my copy there if you guys want to read it. And when we get the new website going, I'll put this up there, but I'll leave my copy over there if you guys want to read that.
Great.
80? Yeah, May 31st, June 1st.
Yep, June 1st, target date, the DOT will be closing that bridge, taking out of service supposedly 1st of June, and yes, till the middle of November now is their target date to have it replaced. They will take the bridge out, take out the abutments, move the bridge, pour new abutments and install a new bridge, and they hope to have that done by mid-November. And as you see, everybody sees the detours. New York State feels the detours should be Route 52 to Palin Road. All of us that live here really know the detour should be All Angels Road, which is right before the bridge, to Old Hopewell Road, which is just past the bridge, or vice versa. That would be the more efficient detour, but that's not the official detour. Hopefully, they'll get the project done on time.
I think I got a mail today, John, with the date of the closing.
Yeah, they sent them out.
Cards
Yeah.
came out yesterday.
Yeah.
I got mine yesterday.
Yeah. Anything else from the board?
Yeah, I'd like to quickly thank Senator Sue Serino. I had a press conference with her last week. We got the push-button crossing device operational by John Jay High School. That's been a long time coming. We made a quick phone call to her, and she responded very quickly, and working with the DOT and the high school principal, Bonnie King, we got it, and we're very proud of that and very happy. You know what? That's a great idea, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Well, actually, and I didn't want to say, because we brought that, I mentioned this a little bit, but we have, and we have applied through Sue Serino's office for $128,000. We haven't been confirmed that we're going to receive it. They feel it was a good application. And basically, because it didn't look like we were going to get our money to dredge the lake. I'm requesting it to remove the lily pads. I think at least that would be removing some of the problems we're having out there. We're not going to get the depth that we had wished, but if they do allow us to get the money, I think that that would also help to improve. But we'll talk about that, and I'm going to see if I can actually have a gentleman that works on lakes and removal of lily pads. I mean, at the last meeting in January, I think that was one of the biggest issues was lily pads. So we're going to have a gentleman come and make a proposal on that also. I'm going to see if he can be at the June 16th meeting, so we'll see. But Sue Serino has been very good. I haven't gotten any confirmation on the money, but we're very hopeful. So, anything else? With that, Memorial Day, Monday, the town will be having their Memorial Day observance at the Memorial Field there down on Beekman Road and Route 82. The ceremony starts at 11 o'clock, and this is that time when we remember all those who went out to fight for us and who did not return from the field of battle. So it is a very, very moving ceremony, and it begins at 11 o'clock. That being it, the next town board meeting, the workshop is June 9th. The regular meeting is June 23rd. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Nay.